Brace yourselves. Day 2 of Diddy's explosive trial just rocked the courtroom like never before. When Cassie took the stand and dropped the truth bomb, everything flipped upside down, and Diddy completely lost control. Secrets spilled, emotions exploded, and the drama hit a whole new level. Want the full breakdown of what happened and why this could change everything? Stay tuned. This trial is one you absolutely can't miss. If you've been following the Diddy trial, drop a 1 in the comments. If this is your first time hearing about it, drop a 0. Be sure to watch the entire video and hit subscribe to support the channel. Today marks the second day of the federal trial against Sean Diddy Combs. One of the key witnesses is Cassie Ventura, Combs' ex-girlfriend. She is among the accusers and has been subpoenaed to testify. Is she ready? The answer is very ready and full of confidence. Ms. Cassie is expected to address several key details, including the 2016 video footage that captured Combs assaulting her at a hotel while they were still a couple. Diddy, once seen as a music mogul and the founder of a powerful hip-hop empire, was an icon of success. However, as Cassie Ventura took the stand yesterday, all the glamorous images of him quickly crumbled. Diddy's face paled as his ex-girlfriend recounted deeply disturbing stories that silenced even the most seasoned reporters in the courtroom. Cassie revealed a great deal, and we want to emphasize that she spoke openly about everything that allegedly transpired in their relationship behind closed doors. She entered the courtroom wearing a form-fitting brown dress that accentuated her pregnant belly. She held her head high and made no eye contact with the defendant, Sean Combs. Cassie stated that Diddy controlled every aspect of their relationship, from what she had to wear, the lighting in the room, to how she interacted with whomever she had to engage in sexual relations with. One of the notable things Cassie shared was the concept of a freak-off. This is something she said she learned from Diddy within the first year of their relationship. Freak off is a term Cassie explained as a curiosity, a desire to watch her engage in relations with other people. She shared that at the time she was only 21 or 22 years old, very young and naive. She did it simply because she wanted to please Diddy, whom she loved. One of the crucial details Cassie is expected to clarify during this trial is the 2016 video, which captured Diddy assaulting her in a hotel while they were still a couple. Diddy has pleaded not guilty, and his lawyers argue that the video is merely evidence of jealousy, not sex trafficking. Now the jury will hear Cassie's account of the incident and other aspects of their 10-year relationship. For decades, Sean Diddy Combs navigated the music industry as if he owned it. And in many ways, he did. He produced bad boy branded records, catapulted artists to superstardom, and built a music empire that expanded into fashion, vodka, and media. Diddy is the quintessential success story. Someone who showed everyone how to turn hip-hop into a serious business revenue stream. However, this polished image of a business genius, mentor, and musical visionary is being increasingly overshadowed by a much darker truth if you believe what is unfolding in court right now. While magazines consistently featured Diddy on their covers for his business triumphs, while fans celebrated his performances, and as everyone only saw his beaming smile on red carpets, Cassie Ventura allegedly faced a starkly different reality. This contrast left everyone in the courtroom stunned. Diddy, the man who presented himself as the ultimate professional in public. Tailored suits, perfectly coiffed hair, always knowing the right thing to say in every interview. But Cassie's allegations painted a picture of a completely different person behind closed doors, someone fans wouldn't recognize, someone they only knew through his public persona. Court reporters noted Diddy's appearance on the second day of the trial. He entered the courtroom looking every bit the billionaire mogul everyone was familiar with. Diddy walked in with his high-priced legal team, offering confident nods to people in the room, occasionally even a smile. He looked as if he were entering a business meeting, not facing serious allegations from his former girlfriend. However, that confidence didn't last long. According to multiple eyewitnesses, Diddy's demeanor underwent a noticeable shift within the first 30 minutes of Cassie's testimony. His swagger and self-assurance began to dissipate, and the composed facade of a brilliant businessman started to show cracks. As Cassie began to describe specific incidents from their relationship, Diddy's legal team repeatedly objected, almost desperately trying to halt her testimony. This didn't go unnoticed. The man who had built a multi-billion-dollar empire, who controlled the careers of countless artists and negotiated massive business deals, now seemed unable to control his own emotions in the courtroom. Witnesses described Diddy as unable to sit still, unable to contain his anxiety as Cassie testified. The power dynamic he once held seemed to have completely reversed. As Cassie took the stand and began recounting the details of their relationship, all eyes in the courtroom turned to Diddy. Diddy's face reportedly turned ashen, as if some vital energy had drained from him. He began to fidget with his tie, then his cufflinks, and continued to adjust various items on his person. Moments later, courtroom observers noticed him writing notes and passing them to his lawyers incessantly. The notes came so rapidly that one of the attorneys had to raise his hand, asking him to slow down. One court reporter described it as witnessing someone realizing for the first time that they had lost control of the narrative. Another witness stated that Diddy appeared unwell as Cassie calmly recounted everything about their relationship. A third witness noted that Diddy closed his eyes repeatedly as if he couldn't bear to hear what Cassie was saying or to look at her. And that was just the beginning. As Cassie's testimony continued throughout the afternoon, the courtroom would soon discover exactly why Diddy was unable to remain composed. The details Cassie was about to further reveal had the potential to completely dismantle the image of the business mogul Diddy had cultivated for so many years. The specific allegations Cassie is about to make will not only send shockwaves through the music industry, but could also shatter the legacy Diddy has painstakingly built over decades. The man who always controlled his narrative, who once manipulated his public image, now faces a truth he cannot edit or reproduce at will. This will be a story Diddy cannot control, and at one point, Cassie even said she had come to expect these bizarre things. Why did Cassie express an expectation of these bizarre things? When the prosecutors asked her, "Did you ever enjoy those freak-offs?" Cassie's answer caused everyone in the courtroom to fall silent. She choked up and replied, "I did, but only because I got to be alone with Combs, and I was really in love with him." This testimony speaks not only to the physical abuse but also to the psychological abuse that Cassie endured. She spoke of a young woman captivated by the dream of becoming a recording star. Cassie signed with Sean Combs' Bad Boy Entertainment with a promise of 10 albums. She was mesmerized by Combs' allure and the love she felt for him, unaware of the bizarre sexual practices he introduced her to. She confessed that she was too young and naive at the time, knowing no better than to try and please the man she thought would help her career in the music industry. But quickly, she came to realize the truth. Combs was not the person she thought he was. After moments of panic and fear, she felt dirty, unwilling to participate in those acts. She shared in an email that she wanted to talk about these things, but as soon as she suggested it, Combs responded, "I know you don't want to do it." Even though Cassie said she didn't want to do it, she felt like she didn't have a choice. This was back in 2010, when she wrote in the email that she wanted to share these painful experiences. However, she didn't want to do it, but the feeling of being coerced led her to continue. Right after that, the prosecutors wasted no time going straight into the abusive acts Cassie endured over the years. She told the jury that Diddy used to smash my head, punch me to the point of falling, drag me, kick me, stomp on my head when I was on the ground. She went on to describe the freak-offs that Diddy orchestrated, including hiring an escort and making them perform under his direction. These acts became so frequent that eventually, Cassie Ventura shared that she didn't feel she had much choice but to participate in the acts she was coerced into. She feared that if she didn't comply, Combs would retaliate or even potentially blackmail her. At times, she had to take deep breaths and pause her testimony to compose herself emotionally. Throughout this period, Diddy reportedly listened passively, his hands resting on his thighs as he sat at the defense table. As Cassie Ventura took the stand, no one in the courtroom could miss the momentousness of the impending moment. You could hear a pin drop. Silence blanketed the space. Everyone knew this moment was coming, but no one, not even Diddy's legal team, seemed truly prepared for what she was about to say. After years of silence, Cassie finally had her chance to speak, and speak she did. Cassie began her story gently, but it was precisely this gentleness that made her testimony all the more impactful. She recounted her first meeting with Diddy when she was just 19 years old. He was a significant figure in the music industry, a millionaire with extensive connections. Meanwhile, she was a young model with aspirations for a music career. The power imbalance between them was starkly evident from the very beginning. According to Cassie, Diddy knew exactly how to wield his power to control everything. Her testimony built slowly, like a horror film where you know something bad is coming but can't look away. Initially, it was small controlling issues. Diddy demanded to know her whereabouts at all times. He would even show up unannounced when she was out with friends. Gradually, the control extended to her career as well. Cassie asserted that Diddy threatened to halt the release of her music if she didn't comply with his demands. He also allegedly sabotaged collaborations with other artists if he felt threatened. However, the most shocking part of Cassie's testimony was her revelation that Diddy had installed tracking software on her phone. She testified that he would sometimes call her immediately after she arrived somewhere, knowing exactly where she was. Cassie further stated that Diddy gradually severed her relationships with friends who might have advised her to leave him. One by one, her support system vanished, and eventually, Diddy became all she had. The judge reportedly had to caution Diddy 3 times during this part of the testimony because his behavior was so agitated and uncontrolled. Diddy couldn't conceal his anxiety. He shook his head, whispered to his lawyer, and made expressions that were clearly visible to the jury. Each time the judge cautioned him, he would compose himself for a few minutes, only to resume the same agitated behavior again. This was reportedly the first time in his life that Diddy realized he couldn't control the situation. Then came a truly unexpected moment. Cassie pulled out her phone and handed it to her lawyer. They projected text messages and emails she had kept over the years onto the courtroom screens, making them visible to everyone present. Diddy, upon seeing these messages, couldn't mask his shock. He clearly hadn't known she had preserved these communications all those years. Messages in which he allegedly apologized for violent outbursts, and messages in which he threatened to ruin her career if she told anyone what had happened. These messages directly contradicted the statements Diddy's public relations team had put out over the years. But what was even more impactful was that these messages were just the beginning. As Cassie continued her testimony, she began to describe the physical assaults she allegedly endured throughout their relationship. The entire courtroom fell into absolute silence as Cassie recounted the details of the alleged physical assaults. She described a harrowing incident where Diddy allegedly threw her into a wall during an argument. She asserted that he pushed her down a flight of stairs at a rented house in Miami. Most disturbingly, she testified that Diddy choked her until she was nearly unconscious, only stopping when she went limp. Cassie's testimony visibly affected some members of the jury. An older woman on the panel was seen wiping away tears. A male juror couldn't maintain eye contact with Diddy after hearing the graphic descriptions of the alleged assaults. Even the most seasoned reporters in the courtroom admitted they were unprepared for the level of disturbing detail in Cassie's account. And all of this was leading up to the hotel incident, which would further illuminate the case. Cassie's relationship with Diddy is likely not entirely new information for some, as certain details have surfaced in previous lawsuits. However, with her actually on the stand, reliving those painful moments, it makes everything feel more real than ever before. It's also important to remember that she is currently pregnant. So, no one could help but wonder how she would hold up under the pressure of questioning and how she would navigate all of these emotions. It is indeed interesting that from the outset, the defense has stated that Cassie willingly remained in the relationship. This creates a point of curiosity regarding how she will respond to questions about whether she truly wanted to do these things or felt compelled to do them to please Diddy. The most pivotal and emotionally charged part of Cassie's testimony was when she had to articulate why she did all of it. When she answered the question about whether she enjoyed these acts, that's when Cassie couldn't hold back her emotions. Up until that point, She had been answering questions calmly, even gently, but when she had to answer whether she liked being with Sean Combs, that was the moment she broke down. Her emotions overwhelmed her as she said, "I liked being with Sean Combs." When Cassie Ventura said, "I did it because it made him happy," the jury couldn't help but pay close attention. The members of the jury were all ears during her testimony, watching her every gesture and expression as she shared the disturbing details. This is entirely normal in a trial, especially since Cassie is the one who will be testifying for several days, possibly 2 or 3. She is the only person who had a long-term relationship with Diddy, over 10 years. Therefore, her testimony is not only important factually, but also carries intimate details that help connect the crucial points in the case. The jury's emotions and reactions could change everything in this high-stakes trial. What do you think the jury is feeling right now? Could their decision shake up the whole case? Drop your thoughts below and join the conversation. If you want to stay updated on every twist and turn, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss what happens next. Let's see how this drama unfolds together. Cassie's testimony holds immense significance for the prosecution. She is the individual who can corroborate many crucial details pertaining to the allegations in the indictment. She provides an insider's perspective on a man who, according to the prosecutor, allegedly used his enterprise to fulfill personal desires and turn them into a form of criminality. Cassie is a witness with invaluable information and vivid details about Diddy's actions, gained through her intimate knowledge and long-term relationship with him. A part of Cassie's testimony that the jury paid particular attention to was the incident at the Four Seasons Hotel, an event that was previously unknown, not to the press, not to fans, and not even to gossip blogs. As everyone listened intently, Cassie recounted that she had kept this story secret for many years out of fear for her career, for her safety, and fear that no one would believe her against someone as powerful as Diddy. However, sitting on the witness stand, she held nothing back. Cassie's account of the Four Seasons Hotel incident began like a normal party, but ultimately devolved into a nightmare. She described Diddy becoming enraged after seeing her talking to another music executive. His anger caused his smile to vanish, and he allegedly grabbed her arm so forcefully that it left a mark, whispering threats in her ear while maintaining a facade of politeness to those around them. Another shocking part of Cassie's testimony was when she said Diddy dragged her through the hotel lobby towards the elevators. She was crying and trying to get away, creating enough of a scene that hotel security approached. However, once the security personnel recognized Diddy, they didn't intervene, simply asking if everything was all right. This is a chilling detail highlighting Diddy's power, as even though security likely sensed something was wrong, they didn't dare interfere once they knew who he was. Cassie's testimony throughout the trial has illuminated the alleged ruthless behavior and control exerted by Diddy, while also unveiling intimate details of their 10-year relationship. The jury's reactions and their apparent engagement with Cassie's accounts clearly demonstrate the power of truth within the courtroom, where long-held secrets are being brought to light. Cassie's testimony continued to leave everyone in the courtroom astounded as she described the acts of violence and control she endured from Diddy throughout their relationship. The details she provided about the hotel incident, where she was allegedly attacked by Diddy and held in the room for over 48 hours, marked a significant turning point in the case. The photos she took of herself immediately afterward, showing visible injuries on her body, corroborated the truth of her words. The photos Cassie took the morning after the alleged incident, showing bruises, a split lip, and red marks around her neck, served as powerful evidence that the jury couldn't ignore. These weren't professionally taken images, but selfies in a bathroom mirror, which made them all the more unsettling. As the photos were presented to the jury, their reactions conveyed the level of shock and distress. One female juror covered her mouth, while two male jurors turned away, unable to look at the images. Another juror scribbled furiously in their notebook, their hand trembling. The relationship between Cassie and Diddy has now become the focal point of the case. Cassie's testimony regarding the hotel incident, where Diddy allegedly assaulted her, trashed the hotel room, and even threw a bottle of alcohol at her head, has caused a significant stir. According to her account, he also kept her in the room for over 48 hours, took her phone, and threatened severe consequences if she tried to call for help. All these details point to a pattern of control and abuse, and the courtroom is keenly observing Diddy's reactions during these moments. Diddy's defense team, likely unprepared for these specific and graphic details, is attempting to defend their client. They may argue that Diddy's actions were not coercive or amounted to sex trafficking, but rather were consensual within the context of their relationship. They might suggest that Cassie entered into the relationship with Diddy in a position where she needed his support for her music career, and that without him, she might not have achieved her current status. However, the prosecution is asserting that Diddy's actions went beyond mere control and constituted severe abuse. Cassie's testimony is pivotal in connecting the threads of the case and demonstrating that Diddy allegedly used his power and influence to control, intimidate, and abuse her throughout their relationship. Her evidence, including the photos and her detailed accounts of the alleged assaults, is significantly altering the narrative of the case. The moment Diddy responds to these accusations will be a crucial turning point, not only for this trial, but potentially for his future career and reputation. Cassie's testimony continues to be a crucial element in the case, and it increasingly highlights the stark contrast between the woman she is today and who she was in the past, while she was with Diddy. Her story of her relationship with Sean Combs, from her eager pursuit of a music career to being completely controlled and manipulated by him, reflects a profound shift in her self-perception. Cassie isn't just recounting what happened to her, she's also confronting her own past, a past where she was allegedly tormented and lacked control. As a pregnant and visibly near-term witness, Cassie could indeed garner sympathy from the jury, especially as they observe a woman under immense emotional strain, confronting painful memories and perhaps her own reflections. However, it's crucial to remember that the jury is instructed to remain impartial and unbiased, not allowing personal feelings to sway their judgment. What makes Cassie's testimony even more compelling is that she's not just talking about the control Diddy exerted over her, but also about her own perceived lack of agency within the relationship. She describes a level of dependence on Diddy where she felt unable to make her own decisions about what she did, what she wore, and even her intimate relationships. These are crucial details that the prosecution will undoubtedly use to argue that Diddy created a criminal enterprise out of the control and manipulation he imposed on Cassie. That moment when Cassie shared about the painful events of her past, such as using drugs to try and please Diddy, was an unforgettable one, not just for her, but for everyone present in the courtroom. She has clearly gone through a long process to be able to speak about these things, and her testimony isn't just the story of a victim, but the story of a woman who has reclaimed control of her life and found the strength to confront her past. This not only makes Cassie a powerful witness, but also marks a pivotal moment for the entire trial. Diddy, who has cultivated a strong public image and prides himself on his ability to remain composed under pressure, completely lost his composure during Cassie's testimony. His reaction wasn't just panic, but the shattering of an image carefully constructed over many years. This was the moment everyone in the courtroom realized that beneath his polished facade, there might be a very different reality. Beyond Cassie's testimony, the photos she took after the hotel incident further solidified her account. The images, showing visible injuries on her body, while not professional shots, served as crucial evidence because they were taken in the immediate aftermath of what allegedly occurred. These photos not only shocked the jury, but also stood as stark visual proof of what Cassie claims she endured. Although Diddy's legal team attempted to prevent these photos from being shown, the judge ruled that they were admissible and should be presented to the jury, and the jury's reaction clearly demonstrated their powerful impact. This trial doesn't just affect Diddy legally, it has the potential to fundamentally alter how the public perceives him. Regardless of the outcome of this case, Diddy's image will undoubtedly be profoundly impacted, especially with the alleged details of his controlling and violent behavior towards a woman like Cassie being laid bare. This will be a part of his narrative that the public won't easily forget. Cassie's testimony has indeed completely shifted the atmosphere in the courtroom and overturned every situation Diddy has tried to control for so many years. The public mask he meticulously built over the past decade is beginning to crumble, as all the details Cassie shared about their relationship, from violence to control, are gradually being exposed to the public eye. Known for his unwavering confidence and composed demeanor, Diddy displayed a starkly different image throughout the trial. Initially, the man who never showed a crack of insecurity, as Cassie's testimony grew more damning, he couldn't conceal his emotions. His reactions to the allegations became increasingly unraveled, transforming Diddy, once perched atop the music industry, into a man visibly losing control. It wasn't just Cassie's testimony, but the way he reacted to it, that further revealed his discomposure and bewilderment. Diddy frequently shook his head, muttering, "That's not true," as she described his alleged actions. This likely made it apparent to the jury that he was no longer in control of the narrative, and maintaining his public image was proving impossible. The shift in power within the room was palpable. From a man who typically dominated every situation, Diddy became someone on the receiving end, seemingly helpless to alter the unfolding events. The details regarding Diddy allegedly threatening Cassie's family if she spoke out certainly intensified the situation. But the real shock came when Cassie revealed that she possessed audio recordings capturing Diddy's voice as he made these threats. This is the kind of moment that could define the entire trial and potentially reshape not only Diddy's career, but also public perception of him. In a flash, Diddy's carefully constructed control seemed to completely evaporate. You're absolutely right. The power dynamic has completely shifted. For so long, Diddy held the reins in their relationship, dictating everything from Cassie's career moves to her personal choices. But on that witness stand, as she spoke her truth, his control evaporated. The threats and manipulative tactics he allegedly employed outside the courtroom held no sway within its walls. The audio recordings of those threats serve as undeniable evidence of the manipulation and alleged violence Cassie endured. All Diddy could do at that moment was sit and listen as everything was laid bare for public scrutiny. The moment Diddy lost control, slammed his hand on the table, and was admonished by the judge may very well have been one of the defining moments of the trial. It not only demonstrated his panic, but also revealed his vulnerability and failure to maintain the image he had painstakingly built. Meanwhile, Cassie, a woman who was once manipulated and controlled, now stood firm on the stand, not only speaking her truth, but also reclaiming the power she had lost during her relationship with Diddy. You've perfectly captured the essence of what's unfolding. This trial transcends a simple legal battle. It's a profound struggle between control and freedom, between a woman reclaiming her identity and a man who once dominated her life. The courtroom has become a stage for this fundamental human conflict. You're absolutely right. That moment when Diddy reportedly lost control in the courtroom was more than just a significant point in the trial. It was an unforgettable spectacle. The entire courtroom was taken aback as Diddy allegedly surged from his seat and yelled at Cassie, a stark contrast to the composed image he always projected. This outburst not only made his legal team scramble to restrain him, but also created a point of no return, throwing the door wide open for the full truth to be exposed. Indeed, Diddy has spent his entire career cultivating an image of invincibility, a man who never betrays a hint of insecurity. But in that very moment, with his uncontrolled reaction, that carefully constructed mask slipped, and everyone in the courtroom glimpsed what lay beneath. His face was no longer one of confidence and composure, but rather one of apparent panic and desperation. Just when everyone thought they had heard everything, Cassie delivered another shock. She revealed that over the years, she had been quietly compiling evidence of what transpired in their relationship. No one had suspected that she possessed text messages, emails, and photographs corroborating her allegations. This evidence wasn't just run-of-the-mill information, but also included compelling accounts from other prominent individuals who had witnessed Diddy's behavior at private parties, events the public was never privy to. What makes everything even more surprising is that Cassie doesn't just have her own testimony. She has messages from famous stars, people who personally witnessed Diddy's actions. These individuals aren't just random figures in the industry, but Diddy's closest friends and longtime associates. They were present in exclusive situations, at parties that no one outside of them could witness. The fact that these people are coming forward as witnesses takes the story to a new level, making Cassie's testimony that much more convincing. The moment Cassie mentioned these witnesses, Diddy couldn't mask the sheer panic on his face. He reportedly looked ill and desperate, and his legal team immediately objected. They argued that these messages shouldn't be considered evidence, that they were merely unreliable hearsay. However, the judge didn't agree. After privately reviewing the messages, he ruled that they were admissible in court as valid evidence. This is the moment that shapes the entire trial. Messages from prominent witnesses flash across the courtroom screen. A famous rapper texts Cassie after a Grammy after-party, "You okay? What I saw tonight wasn't right. You can crash at my place if you need." Another female pop star writes, "I've known him for 15 years, and I've never seen him act like that with anyone else." The entire courtroom fell silent as these messages were displayed, and in that moment, Diddy knew that the career and image he had meticulously built were beyond salvation. The celebrities he once considered allies had now become potential witnesses who could bring him down. At this point, Diddy was no longer in control. He was just a man backed into a corner, facing credible testimonies and undeniable evidence. After Diddy's messages and witness testimonies were revealed, those in the courtroom couldn't help but feel the seismic shift. This wasn't just a legal case, it was the unraveling of a meticulously crafted public persona built over years. When messages from Diddy's longtime producer were exposed, everything changed. These messages, starkly contradicting Diddy's public statements, made it clear that his behavior wasn't the private matter he claimed, but a series of incidents witnessed and dreaded by industry insiders. Everyone, even those closest to Diddy, had noticed and worried about what was happening. Then, Diddy's own messages only made things worse. Apologies after each incident and promises that it won't happen again couldn't salvage the situation. When messages about bribes and demands for silence in exchange for money were revealed, everyone in the courtroom could see Diddy's clear attempts to manipulate the situation and avoid consequences. Explicit financial offers, like $2 million in hush money, not only reflected disrespect, but also exposed Diddy's fear of his actions coming to light. As the evidence continued to unfold, those who had once stood by Diddy began to leave the courtroom. Members of his entourage, who had previously sat behind him in support, seemed unable to bear the truth Cassie brought forward. One by one, they quietly stood and exited. It was a moment that witnessed the collapse not just of a man, but of an entire empire. Diddy's support rapidly vanished, and by the time the testimony ended, he was left alone, surrounded only by lawyers still trying to shield him from what was coming. With the overwhelming evidence, the truth was laid bare in the courtroom, and people began to realize that Diddy was no longer the untouchable king of the music industry. The empire he had built over decades was now crumbling piece by piece. Though Diddy might continue to fight in this trial, the biggest question on everyone's mind was whether his reputation could ever recover from what had been exposed in the courtroom. Cassie Ventura wasn't just recounting her story. She was painting a picture of Diddy that no one could ignore. With clear evidence, authentic testimony, and recordings in her possession, she was transforming not only her own life, but potentially rewriting Diddy's legacy. For Diddy, the courtroom that day wasn't just a place to defend himself. It was the stage where the public image he had spent years building came crashing down. The question now isn't whether Diddy will win this lawsuit. It's whether he can recover from the irreversible damage he's facing right now. Diddy's reaction after Cassie's shocking testimony has the whole community buzzing. How do you think this will affect the rest of the trial? Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for the latest updates on lawsuits and celebrity news, and ring the notification bell so you never miss any developments. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and keep following us because this story still has many twists to come. Do you really think they'd let El Chapo out of prison just to check his knees? Of course not. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in this wild saga. Jay-Z just released a surprising new statement after a civil lawsuit connecting him and Sean Diddy Combs to a teenager's case was dismissed. This story is heating up quickly, and the shocking details are definitely something you don't want to miss. And that's not all. For the first time in New York City history, a sitting mayor has been indicted on criminal charges. At the same time, a former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs has stepped forward in a new interview, making explosive claims about wild parties and heavy drug use. Many are asking, is he being targeted because of his race? This story has never been more intense, and the controversy is just heating up. Drop a comment below. Type 1 if you stand with Diddy, or 0 if you see things differently. We want to hear your voice. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you're the first to catch all the updates. We're revealing the hidden truths behind this breaking story. Do you really think they'll let El Chapo out of prison just to check on his knee? Of course not. In other major news, Jay-Z has released a fresh statement after a civil lawsuit linking him and Sean Diddy Combs to an incident involving a teenager was officially dismissed. That's a big headline tonight. And for the first time in New York City history, a sitting mayor has been criminally charged. Meanwhile, a former assistant to Diddy has come forward in a new interview, making shocking claims about wild parties and heavy drug use. He says they were forced to perform for hours in front of others. According to him, he's being targeted because he's black, and the accusations are rooted in racism. A newly leaked recording reportedly captures Diddy in conversation with Jay-Z and his son. And what Diddy says is truly shocking. How did he know he was going to be taken to the hospital? And what part, if any, did he play in the dismissal of Jay-Z's case? Do you think I won't come for you from the inside? He allegedly said. He also contacted a witness, someone already linked to several bizarre incidents. So why is Oprah staying silent? Why did Ellen suddenly relocate to another country? There are claims that he's urging people to intimidate witnesses or offer hush money. At this rate, don't be surprised if no one shows up in court to testify. Don't contact me anymore, darling. I've already had that Houston lawyer breathing down my neck over that 13-year-old girl. If you don't want things to get worse, you need to start taking my son's calls. The defendant appears to be trying to intimidate the victim and witnesses, either into staying silent or giving testimony that supports his defense. He continues to plead not guilty. Meanwhile, New York authorities are grappling with serious leaks in the case, as alleged courtroom footage surfaces online and phone calls he made to witnesses have been leaked. Things are spiraling fast, and what he says in those calls will leave you stunned. Recently, the district attorney revealed that Diddy had been reaching out to witnesses from behind bars, one of the key reasons his bail was denied. Rather than using his own phone privileges, he allegedly tapped into other inmates' access to make indirect contact through third parties, who then reached out to the witnesses for him. But in a surprising turn of events, the same DA who leveled these serious claims has abruptly resigned, right in the middle of what could be the biggest case of his career. And that's sparking a lot of speculation. All right, let's break down this crazy phone call that's been blowing up online. Quick disclaimer, folks. I'm just reacting to content I found on the internet. At this point, everything you're about to hear should be taken as rumor, gossip, or someone else's opinion. This video is purely for entertainment purposes, and all content is completely fictional. A few weeks back, rumors surfaced that Diddy told his son he had one final move left, and that he'd be out of prison soon. Then, on February 2nd, he was suddenly transferred from prison to a Brooklyn hospital for an overnight MRI. Just a week later, the lawsuit against Jay-Z was abruptly dismissed. So, what really went down during that hospital visit? Who did Diddy talk to? And could that mysterious conversation have had anything to do with the case against Jay-Z being dropped? Come on, do you really think they let El Chapo out of prison just to check on his knee? Of course not. He had to dig a tunnel and ride a bike just to break free. So why was Diddy escorted out in the dead of night? We keep circling back to the same question. What's with all the secrecy? Are we supposed to believe it was just for an aspirin? Help me, Dr. Hendricks. Look, every inmate gets a routine medical check within 14 days of arriving. So what made this one so different? From what I've read, I'm pretty sure he's had knee surgeries over the years, especially after running a marathon back in 2003. So yeah, maybe they took him out for an MRI. But let's be real, prison hospitals don't have that kind of equipment. Maybe they scheduled the appointment weeks or even months in advance and planned for him to leave at 1 a.m. under the radar. But seriously, does that sound like a plan they'd actually go with? Hendricks, I know you're loyal to MDC, but come on. Walking out of MDC just because your knee's acting up? Have you seen that piece of content? Jay-Z is speaking out with a new statement after the civil lawsuit accusing him, and Sean Diddy Combs involving a teenager was dismissed. The woman had filed the suit back in October, claiming that Jay-Z, real name Sean Carter, and Combs assaulted her after an awards show in 2000 when she was just 13 years old. Both Carter and Combs have denied any wrongdoing. According to newly filed court records, the lawsuit was dismissed yesterday after the accuser voluntarily withdrew. In a statement released through Roc Nation, Jay-Z said the allegations had caused pain to his family and loved ones, stating, "I don't want anyone to go through this." He added, "These frivolous, fictional, and terrible accusations have been dismissed. This civil lawsuit was baseless and never had a chance." Listen to what Diddy says to his son. He clearly knew he was about to get out of prison. A phone call from Diddy, allegedly made from behind bars, was recently leaked and posted all over social media. This is believed to be that call, and it's packed with gossip, coded language, and speculation. So let's listen to it together and break it down. Now, in the leaked audio, Diddy talks about getting rid of the pizza box. And if you know the lingo, you know exactly what pizza symbolizes. That's likely what they're referencing and implying in this alleged call. For those who don't know, pizza, and I'll keep this clean, is a coded term that's been linked to disturbing topics involving children and trafficking. Now, in this alleged phone call, Diddy starts mentioning someone named Jay. Some people are speculating that could be Jay-Z, but there's no confirmation on that. At the same time, he starts talking about recycling plastic. I have no idea what that means. If you've got any theories, drop a comment and let me know. Everyone out there is staying quiet, like completely silent. Yeah, exactly. We'll let him have his fun, but I'm still getting the last word here. From the call, it sounds like he's asking for help. He mentions that a lot of people are staying silent, presumably the ones who still stand by him, and says he'll be the one who laughs last in the end. I told him to go ahead and do that. Then he goes on to say, "Don't forget the list." We don't know what this list is or what it's referring to, but this is all pretty wild. Do I think this is legal? There's still no confirmation on whether this is legal or not, but this is reportedly the main call where he's pressuring the victim to drop the lawsuit against both Jay-Z and himself. If that's true, then who authorized his release in the middle of the night? How dangerous could someone like Diddy really be? Especially when prosecutors were already aware that he was trying to contact witnesses, yet still allowed him to leave in the dead of night. Diddy's phone records allegedly show that he reached out to and threatened victims. So why hasn't more been done to stop him? New details have emerged this morning regarding the second lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs. Prosecutors now allege that from behind bars, Combs has been attempting to reach out to potential victims and witnesses. Phil Lipoff from ABC joins us with the latest on this story. Good morning, Phil. Good morning, Gio. Diddy's lawyer is making a third attempt to get him released on bail. However, this time, the prosecution presented evidence to the judge about the efforts they claim the rap mogul made while incarcerated, trying to influence everyone from potential jurors to alleged victims. This morning, prosecutors brought new charges against Sean Diddy Combs, arguing that he continues to pose a serious threat even while behind bars, awaiting trial. In a filing submitted to the court late Friday, prosecutors detailed the actions they say Combs has taken while in custody to contact potential witnesses and sway public opinion in hopes of influencing jurors. The allegations outlined in the prosecution's bail request are serious and will be carefully examined by the judge, who will want to ensure that Combs does not influence witnesses or attempt to interfere with the trial in any way. Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges of extortion, trafficking for prostitution, and sex trafficking, and he denies any wrongdoing. The government is now urging the judge to deny Combs's third bail request, which includes a $50 million bond, citing new evidence and changed circumstances. This is being presented as a clear-cut case. Jay-Z's lawyer is accused of being recorded trying to bribe a witness to lie, even going as far as impersonating an FBI agent and showing a fake badge. That's a federal crime, and the evidence is said to be on tape. However, despite all of this, the lawsuit against Jay-Z was dismissed. So who's really pulling the strings here? And does Diddy's rumored connection to the New York mayor have any influence on this case? Meanwhile, in a new lawsuit, a man from Texas is accusing Jay-Z's lawyer of bribing people to file a lawsuit against Busby and his law firm. This 13-page lawsuit was filed on January 3rd in Harris County, Texas. The plaintiff in the case, represented by none other than Busby's law firm, is Jose Maldonado, who is suing Jay-Z's lawyers and his company, Rock Nation, but not Sean Carter, also known as Jay-Z. According to the lawsuit, the defendants include Marcy Bryan Croft, her law firm MJ Legal, Rock Nation, and the law firm representing Jay-Z, Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan. The lawsuit accuses the defendants of conspiring to obstruct justice by engaging in illicit activities to force over 24 current and former clients of the Busby law firm to return and file lawsuits against them. The lawsuit claims that Roc Nation financed the alleged efforts, while lawyers Marcy Croft and Quinn Emanuel's law firm were accused of orchestrating the entire scheme. According to the lawsuit, the defendant's agents pretended to work for the state of Texas and are alleged to have used fake badges. If he was involved in that, how could he have gotten the keys to the city? To me, that's just insane. If he was involved in these cases and everything in the city wasn't lining up, how could he have been discovered by the city? Now think about this. If they've been investigating the mayor since 2014, there were also investigations going back to a year, maybe 2009 or 2011. They say he was around 9 or 11 years old at the time. One of those people might have been responsible for the federal surveillance of either Diddy's interactions with the mayor or the mayor's interactions with Diddy, which could have led the feds to monitor both of them in some way. I'm not sure which came first, the interaction between Diddy and the mayor, or the mayor and Diddy. Which one did the federal authorities track first? My guess is it was probably Diddy. Interestingly, Diddy recently lost a $100 million lawsuit, right around the time Mayor Eric Adams was indicted. How is it that both Diddy and his close friend Mayor Adams are facing legal troubles at the same time? Is this really just a coincidence? Even with Diddy under investigation, Mayor Adams still handed him the key to the city. Could this be a calculated move to clean up Diddy's image? Breaking news tonight. For the first time in New York City's history, a sitting mayor has been indicted for a crime. ABC News reports that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury. The exact charges remain unclear, but federal agencies have been investigating Adams and his staff, issuing subpoenas for documents and mobile phones. Some members of the administration have resigned, and some of them are close friends of Mayor Adams. Once again, Eric Adams, the 110th mayor of New York City, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We'll have the latest updates online and tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 p.m. Breaking news at 5 p.m. Diddy's legal troubles are escalating tonight after a judge ordered the music mogul to pay $100 million to a Michigan man who claims he was sexually assaulted by Combs in 1997. According to court documents, Derek Cardalou Smith alleges that Combs drugged and then assaulted him at a party at the Holiday Inn in Detroit. However, Combs never responded to the lawsuit in court. On Monday, the judge ruled that he must pay $10 million per month starting in October. What do you think about this decision? Leave your thoughts in the comments and share the video so everyone can follow this shocking case. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest news. The victim is currently serving a 75-year sentence for sexual offenses and kidnapping. A new documentary by NBC News has just been released, featuring testimonies from those closest to Diddy's personal assistant. His closest friends and employees claim they witnessed Diddy's involvement in the sexual assault. Philippines, who served as Diddy's senior executive assistant from 2019 to 2021, alleges that Diddy forced him to prove his loyalty by engaging in sexual acts. In one incident, Diddy is accused of grabbing Pines by the shoulder, massaging him, and pushing him toward a woman lying on a couch with a condom, demanding that he do the same. What really happened during those extravagant drug-filled nights known as the Wild King Nights? This 32-page lawsuit, reviewed by several media outlets including Rolling Stone, appears to have been filed in Los Angeles by a man named Philip Pines, who claims he worked for Diddy from 2019 to 2021. So, actually, this lawsuit is more recent than some of the others we've seen against Sean Combs from the early 2000s or even the 90s, but according to the reports in the lawsuit, Pines is making several serious accusations. Before we dive deeper into this, because there's a lot to unpack, you might be wondering, what does that name mean? What are we talking about when we mention the Wild King Knights? Part of the lawsuit alleges that Pines was forced to prove his loyalty to Sean Combs, the so-called king, by performing sexual acts for him, hence the name Wild King Knights. The lawsuit even claims that Pines was treated like an animal, being made to play fetch as a way to demonstrate his loyalty. A former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs has also spoken out in a new interview, making fresh accusations about wild parties and drug use. Ava Pilgrim is here with this story. Good morning, Ava. Good morning, Michael. By now, most of us have probably heard about these infamous parties. Diddy's former assistant is now providing detailed information about what he refers to as the Wild King Knights. This morning, new details are emerging from the world of Diddy before his shocking arrest. The entertainment mogul is now sitting in prison, facing charges of sex trafficking and federal extortion. It's become a circus. He could do anything he wanted, and we just served him. Phil Pines, who was Diddy's senior executive assistant from 2019 to 2021, says that during his time working for him, the boss would ask him to buy supplies for parties known as the Wild King Knights. Pines recalls often receiving a long list of items, including lights, alcohol, marijuana, and movies. These requests began to become more frequent. Pines asserts that many of these parties involved younger women. Often you would see him with a younger woman. There's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl would be more easily drawn in. He adds that consent in these situations is complex, noting, "Consent lies between those participating, and I wasn't in these situations to fully understand what consent meant." After Philip Pines' statement was made public, Diddy announced plans to sue NBC for $100 million over the documentary. Many believe this move is an attempt to silence the victims and cover up the truth. It is also speculated that this legal pressure contributed to the delay of 50 Cent's documentary about Diddy. Diddy doesn't want the world to know what really happened. Sean Diddy Combs is suing NBC for $100 million over the Peacock documentary about him. According to documents obtained by E! News on February 12th, the founder of Bad Boy Records filed the lawsuit against NBC Universal for $100 million after Peacock, the streaming service owned by the media company, released the documentary Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy. In the filing, Combs, who is currently serving time for sex trafficking and extortion, accuses NBC Universal of defamation. He claims the company deliberately and recklessly aired the documentary, which included allegations that the rap mogul committed crimes, such as serial sexual assault of minors, without any evidence. The filing states, "In creating and airing these false statements along with others, the defendants sought only to exploit the public's thirst for scandal, without regard for the truth, causing harm to Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial." What's most interesting is that no matter what Diddy does, the so-called shocking tapes of him will still be played in court. Prosecutors have confirmed that the tapes submitted as evidence during discovery will be shown to the jury. In fact, some of these recordings have already been played before a jury in a separate case. The source of these shocking tapes, Courtney Burgess, a close friend of the late Kim Porter, is said to have handed them over to the FBI when the trial began and the jury convened. Will they be shown to the jury? Absolutely. Will they have to watch it in court? Definitely. 100% in court, in front of a room full of people. And that's another horrifying aspect. They'll have to watch hours of explicit material in front of everyone. So in front of the first victim, whoever that is, pornographic films will be played in federal court. And the first victim has been made aware of this. Oh, 100%. She knows. She's probably being informed right now that this will be brought to trial publicly. Her sexual history, her private life will be discussed in open court. Despite all of this, she hasn't backed down. She's moving forward, which speaks to her strength and determination. Don't forget this. It doesn't matter whether she wants to participate or not. This isn't a civil case. It's a criminal case. She could tell the federal authorities, "I don't want to participate," and their response could be, "We don't care. This is a crime." The crime is against the United States, not just against her. They keep referring to her as Victim 1. But don't forget she is also a witness to a crime. So it doesn't really matter if she refuses. If she says, "I don't want to participate," their reply would likely be, "We don't care. Go to the stand and testify." Tupac's ex-girlfriend, Desiree Smith, just made a shocking statement on an episode of The Art of Dialogue. Desiree dropped some bombshells related to Diddy, claiming she knows the victims who were allegedly assaulted by him. One of these victims, she says, was attacked in retaliation for catching Diddy in the act. Diddy allegedly drugged and assaulted her while his guards watched. I know a lot of people who know him. I met one of his former bodyguards, and I went to a meeting about him. It's strange, like wearing fake penis attachments. I also met a girl who once took photos for him, a cute young girl from Canada, and she and I went on vacation together. A few months later, she told me about something she saw happen at his house in the Hamptons. A few months after that, she said she hung out with his bodyguards and entourage, and someone drugged her. She didn't know what happened. Nothing alarming, but then she went back to Canada. So, how long ago did this happen? Was it in the 90s? No, this happened in the 2000s, maybe around 2004 or 2006, somewhere in that range. He did it. He did it. Despite everything that's gone down, including the release of a disturbing video showing Diddy violently assaulting Cassie, there are still people in Diddy's inner circle who continue to support him. All I saw was people each other, kissing, getting sucked, getting forced. I saw all of that. But that's normal. So I don't get why freaky stuff could be a crime when people are just going at each other. A bunch of rich people doing lines of coke, partying hard, and going wild with each other. If that makes me a freak, then I'd happily go back to it. I miss being that kind of freak. I've always been drawn to fame, to that celebrity energy. That's what made the wild times so exciting for me back then. Just being around stars, all the actors and actresses like it was nothing. They were doing their thing, using that powder, and it was all just casual. Like, "Hey, what's up? You good?" "Yeah, me too." That was the vibe. And honestly, I loved every second of it. Maybe I'm just nostalgic or losing it, but back when I was young and in the middle of it, man, it was such a blast. It felt like being a kid in a candy store, seeing all those actresses I grew up watching. You heard me. Guys doing blow, hooking up, and getting into all kinds of wild, stupid stuff. Now, with not many options left, Diddy's saying the accusations against him are all about race. He claims he's being singled out just because he's black, and that the people coming after him are just jealous of his success and want to tear down a successful black man. Recently, Diddy's legal team filed a motion to have the charges against him thrown out, arguing that racial bias played a role in the prosecution. Sean Combs is asking the judge in his federal case to dismiss one of the charges, claiming he's being targeted because he's black and that the charge is rooted in racism. Today, we're taking a closer look at Combs' argument and how strong his chances are. Welcome to Crime Fix.